Hello and good evening, and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. And of course, we are here discussing all matters. The Matchbook Betting Exchange Irish St Ledger from Limerick. 12 became 11, unfortunately, before racing on Saturday night, and 11 became 6. And we have a wonderful final to look forward to on Saturday night. As always, I'm joined by the exile dub, Tommy Lyons, from his yawl base. And of course, we have the man from the West, Alan Troy. He spends his time between Galway and Limerick, and he was more than excited to get involved in the action on Saturday night at Limerick Track. Alan, you're very welcome indeed. We spoke to you, I think it was this time last year. We had a great ledger then. We have a great ledger now.
Yeah, thank you, Ian. Yes, it's an intriguing final. Going through the draw, I think what bobsleigh getting trap one has, probably she'll justify favouritism. But again, I think We Can Dream has a good draw too with his early trap two. And again, Mustang Jack has 6, and he's sort of been the early himself, and We Can Dream have been the early pace setters throughout the competition. Like 2.79 and 2.74 sectionals are very good. So yeah, it's interesting. And then you have an English Derby winner in the mixed in trap 4 with Romeo Magico.
I like it, Alan. Cut the foreplay, straight into the action, straight into the stuff. We're there. We're nearly at the end of the pod. Well, that's been it. Talking Dogs on a Monday. We'll see you next week.
And Anna Daly is really showcasing his potential. That was his 19th race, and that was his personal best at 29.51. So, he has huge pace as well. So, hence, no disrespect to Trinity Junior, 2.87, 29.68 best run. Yeah, he's there. Peter Cronin as well. Sure, the man is a maestro with dogs. So, it's a final. It's a mouth-watering final. Yeah,
it sure is. Tommy Lyons, from the outside looking in, it has been a wonderful competition. We've been informed that it was absolutely hopping on Saturday night, be it with Christmas Revellers, the GA club that won the Conor Nanny Kirby sweep. They were back with having a benefit night, packed to the rafters, and they were treated to 2 wonderful semi-finals.
It was great to see and great to hear that there was such a crowd there. It was quality. It was a pity that Bacchus Crystal was a late absentee. I often wonder, actually, the first thing I do, and this is typical me now, first thing I do when I see a result and the bitch isn't in it, I'm going, oh no, don't tell me this happened on Thursday, because I made preview done since Tuesday. Yeah, you're always thinking, am I after making an absolute hames of that? Yeah. Because I did fancy that Bacchus Crystal had a great draw. It completely changed the complexion of the race, and actually worked in favour of the winner, probably, because Bobsleigh Dream was so keen to get the inside in, and had she not got the inside as early as she did, and she did remarkably well to be on the rails coming out of the second bend, remarkably well. It might have been a different story, because where Bacchus Crystal would have been. She would have been right in her lane of traffic and forced her to do something a little bit extra, and all of a sudden maybe Mustang Jet has gone further clear or whatever. So it was a huge change. It was a real shame, because I actually thought, I think we talked about it last week, I thought that she was probably the most likely winner of the competition.
Yeah,
Bacchus Crystal, just that she had an ideal draw to qualify, and she's not entirely draw dependent. So, but I think Bobsleigh Dream, I was going to say, came out with enhanced reputation, but I think we already know how good she is, or how
we do. Yeah, it was like there was no surprise that she won from where she was and as easily as she did, because her engine is just, it's currently purring anyway, but it really is super powered.
But you could spend the time saying, Mustang Jet was far enough clear, he should have been winning, should have been holding her longer and all this. But you know what? He ran a cracking race, but she's exceptionally fast. So there's no shame in what happened. I'm just amazed at how she was boring for the inside all the way to the second bend, eventually got there. That's bound to have taken its toll. And yet by the third bend, she was up the inside, along the rail, as Mustang Jet took the third bend, and then from there on, we knew what was going to happen. She was going to drive onto the line. 29.54 is not a fair reflection of her performance the other night.
Yeah,
but it was Tommy, even if you look after she crosses the line, she's moving on from them again.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
across the line, she's just she put a few more links on it by the time she hit the hair box. So she was just powering home,
she's definitely a lady that's obviously very much at the peak of her powers, but she's currently loving life. I think there's no question about that. The Bacchus Crystal was withdrawn late, as you said, Tommy. I got a text from Graham Box that morning, said she just wasn't right. Graham reported she wasn't right. I didn't realise, but she had done an extra lap the previous week. So
okay,
that's obviously a concern they're probably giving to the last minute. They probably, trying to just get her right, and they just felt she wasn't quite there. So it's nothing too serious, and she'll be back shortly. But if you run them, if you run them and they're not right, it could be something serious. So they made the right decision, and it's very unfortunate. Obviously Bev and Graham are wonderful supporters of the sport, and Graham Holland, of course. Would love to win another Ledger. Now, as it happens, he does have a strong chance in the Ledger decider. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But no, they made the right decision to take her out. And looking at the race itself, Mustang Jet took a flyer. Alan, he went up fast on the outside. That's what he's capable of. It was probably one of his better starts. 279. It certainly is his fastest first sectional in the Ledger. 5:29, 17:29 to the third bend. Trinity Junior went up second. He checked off the opening corner, probably just at the wrong point. Didn't get his start, just at the wrong point. Checked off in second spot. That gave Mustang Jet that extra bit of space into the back. But the key to the race was Bobsleigh Dream just getting around Drombeg 10. And as Tommy said, it was remarkable how she did it. And once she turned third, your eye was always drawn to her, and there was a certain inevitability from the second bend.
Yeah, definitely. What you could see that the pace she showed going down the back straight, she it was evident that she was, going to nail Mustang Jet at the third bend, and once she did, she just took off. It was pace at its best. I know she won the Tipperary Cup she's Tipperary Cup winner, yeah. So she just, looking at the semi-finals on Saturday night, she just stood out, the pace she showed. And again, going from trap 5, it was a tough draw. I suppose with Buckles being out, it did help her case a little bit more, as she stated. Buckles would have been there maybe in front of her, go down the back straight towards the rails, but it was very impressive. She has done 29.43 in the competition. She's been very consistent with a first, a second, a first, and a first. If she does repeat her 29.43 run, I think it's all over. If she can do that again, especially being on the rails. And prior to the Ledger, she did a 28.13 run in a trial. So she's in peak form. And with Pat Buckley, she's going to be in tip-top shape now for Saturday night. So all they need is, if she can be on the rails coming around the second bend, thereabouts, and opens up for us. I just can't see her being beat. That's the way it is.
I think that's the 5th time. I think Alan fancies Bobsleigh Dream. Tommy, what's your thoughts on the matter?
We'll get on to the final in a minute, because I do think there's potential for it to be tricky, but like what Alan is saying is right. Her all round pace is just incredible.
Moving on, just we'll briefly say there, obviously Drombeg 10 and midfield Dino went out. Both ran very well through the competition. They were both 10-1 chances the other night. So in terms of the market, the big three did go through following the withdrawal of Bocco's Crystal. Mustang Jet was actually the 6-4 favourite, 7-4 Bobsleigh Dream. That's purely down to the draw. You would have imagined if she had been drawn close to the fence, she would have been a hot favourite. Trinity Junior 9-4. Just hasn't quite happened for him in the competition. I was very impressed with him in the opening round. But he hasn't come on from that. He's going to need to take a flyer to get around that corner in front of the decider if he is to worry the judge. But he's only had the 12 starts. He said he has 6 wins. He's been in the frame 4 times, or 4 more times. So he's only been twice out of the money. He's a very talented greyhound. He is a September 20, so in theory a little bit still to come from him. But he's going to need to find it.
Like what you say, Ian, is 100% right. He'll have to come out through the bars, because that's one thing he hasn't been doing.
Yeah,
he hasn't but
he does have it in his armory. That's the thing. We have seen him do it.
But even the other night, when you think that he was chasing Mustang Jet to the first bend after missing the kick, and showed lovely pace. Now, he wasn't quite matching Mustang Jet, but he wasn't a million miles off him, because you think he's coming from further behind. The Mustang Jet was out of traps, if you know what I mean.
And that's why he had to check wide, because he did get onto the heels of Mustang Jet, which in itself is a fair achievement.
Yeah, he's quite impressive. He's the type of dog you could think that maybe he gets a couple of months rest and he comes back next year. He could be a different greyhound altogether.
Yeah, very much so. I agree with you there. We'll move on to the second semi-final, because we can say it was a sort of surprise, but it wasn't, Tommy. How long have we been talking about Anna Bailey and saying that this run was happening? I know Dylan Brennan I do the Matchbook podcast with him, and he was quite sweet. He thought he had a big chance. Return 7-1. Hindsight's 2020, but 7-1 did seem a very big price about a dog in a race where, there wasn't an awful lot to challenge him on the outside of the track. He found a lovely pitch into the opening corner. We Can Dream obviously took a flyer again, Tommy. That's not the first time at the competition. Showed tremendous early speed. Romeo Magical raced up into the corner and they clipped. They definitely bumped and clipped. And all of a sudden, Anna Bailey shot around the outside. Game over. Ball burst. He was never going to be picked up. Massive run by Romeo Magico in second. He looked like he's over his little bit of trouble for that third round week, and as we said last week, probably an improved display in defeat last time. Well, on Saturday night, I thought he ran much better in second. A We Can Dream back in third. His race was sort of decided at the opening corner because he did get that trouble. If he'd been left to his own devices to get around in front, it could have been a very different scenario. Ballymac was balked at the corner, so too Kilcolgan Zeus and Ballymac Run found traffic problems. Not a race for Liam Dowling to look back on. Kilcolgan Zeus ran so well through the competition, but he was a 14-1 chance the other night and need plenty of luck. There was plenty happening in this contest, Tommy, but so impressed by the winner and the runner-up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to borrow your trumpet for a while because I actually tipped Anna Bailey in the paper. And it was purely it was purely based on the run in the quarter final, because we talked about it last week. A dog came straight across him with traps. He still tried to show the pace into the bend, got done again at the first bend, was beaten, I think, 6.5 lengths or something like that. Actually, it didn't tell the full story. It's a dog we talked about during the Derby. I know some of the shrewd lads who clocked Shelbourne Park backed him to win the Derby at huge prices. This wasn't a surprise. Now, there's kind of a it's just difficult to explain exactly what I'm trying to say about it, but there's no real frills to the way he runs, if you know what I mean. There's no explosive early pace.
He's not a flashy greyhound. He's never going to fly out of traps. He's not one that'll make up 5 lengths down the back, and he's not one that'll come from out of clouds. But he just does everything. He just does everything very well. It's just a case of will he have what's needed on the big night?
Yeah, that's why you're presenting it. I'm just here like a dope on the other side of the camera.
Well, I didn't want to say that, Tom.
but it's exactly it. Like you have to have the makeup of the race has to be right for him to fancy him, if you know what I mean. Like, and he's I don't know. Actually, I had the prices up there a while ago. He's probably a similar enough price for the final, a 7 or 8 to 1 chance, and that's about right. His draw is not as favourable next week, and we will talk about that in a few minutes. But I think there was a lot to like about what he did, because around that first bend, it could have gone any one of 3 ways. We Can Dream, Romeo Magico, or Anna Bailey could have come out. I like the determination he showed to get around, and also probably to hold his position against Romeo Magico, who was trying to go up between the dogs as far as I could see. When he gets that tight, you're not really sure what exactly is happening. But it was kind of there was. I know Ballymac went out and it was a bit unfortunate, whatever, but like there was a lot to like about all performances. We Can Dream was just confirming what we'd seen, and it's a great performance to get him back to the sort of level of consistency he's at the moment. Romeo Magico is a dog. I think I said it. I don't know, it was last week or a few weeks ago, maybe. Like, he's the type of dog you close your eyes and hope he gets to the final, because he's a massive danger in any final because of his raw ability. But there always seems to be times during the competition where you think, you know what, he's not really at his best. Or I'd say he's a dog that probably breaks Graham Holland's heart. He probably takes a lot of work to get him fully tuned, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think the English Derby success will ease all those pains, to be honest.
No, but you know what I mean. Yeah, but you know what I mean. But like I'd say, like it's almost similar, because the English Derby, there were times you thought, he's just a player here, maybe, kind of, he's just, he's maybe he'll sneak through, he'll do this or he'll do that, and then he comes out with an explosive display. He's just classy. And as you said, like I could argue the opposite point to you. You were saying that it was a definite step up on the previous week, and I could say he probably should get a bit closer to Anna Bailey after turning second into the back straight. Like,
the clock is there though. 29.51, fastest of the 2 heats.
But I still think the other heat. I still think Bobsleigh Dream is about. You could take about 25 spots off it for the trouble she got trying to go bore into to the inside, and it's not that she has a perfect draw in the final, but anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I just know that I won't be tipping Romeo Magico. I know I won't be backing him, but I know he can win. That is Romeo. To me, that's Romeo Magico in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people have that sort of relationship with him. Alan, it is great to see Rachel Wheeler with another classic finalist. She won the laurels in the past. She had two runners in the semi-finals. Great to see at least one of them getting through. But Anna Bailey, I don't think there was any surprise about him landing the spoils on Saturday night.
No, definitely not. It's been well highlighted about his potential. I know he took a lot of people fancied him in the Derby, as a dark horse. And the dog he's plenty raw ability, he's plenty pace. Again, like at the fastest semi-final. And that I stated earlier, that was his 19th race and his personal best. So he's really, really peaking. So there's a lot more to come from this dog. I think
and he's actually the joint youngest finalist alongside Trinity Junior. They're both September 20 whelps, so they were both sort of qualifying for the juvenile derby, shall we say? And here he is in the derby final. He's only had the 19 starts, as you said, but ideally you want to be coming into a final on the back of a fine success, and that's exactly where he finds himself.
Yeah, and he's going to be a big player next year, and very excited, very excited to be following him now next year. And it's great to see Rachel in the final as well. She's a great trainer, and after winning the laurels now, if she could win a Ledger, it'd be very good for the CV. So, again, he's in trap 5, and I know he'd probably prefer. He's more of a middle seat. He'd probably prefer 3 or 4. So, if things go his way with his pace and that, I know I've probably said bobsleigh is the girl for the final, but he has the huge potential to upset the odds, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table on Saturday night. The ability is there, and he just needs a bit of luck. I'd say he could rattle it.
Yeah, I think the ability is there for most of them. But as you say, luck is very much a vital cog. In second spot, Romeo Magico. He's obviously an English Derby champion. Alan, he's been running at the very, very top of his profession for a long time now. It was in the early rounds of the Kirby last year, and that he really did sort of alert the world to his ability. But he was very much a raw greyhound last year. This year he came back a stronger dog. We saw him running so well in the Easter Cup, then going on to win the English Derby, and here we are now watching him in a Ledger decider. He's not without a chance.
No.
For all that Tommy said, and he's right, he can be a little bit frustrating at times. I think that purely comes down to the fact that he's not a lightning starter, that he just tends to arrive at the wrong time into the opening corner. Perhaps that's what he did the other evening, because had he been trapping on terms with Weekend Dream, I think he goes round in front. And if he had, I don't think anything's picking him up. If he traps on terms, he's a major player in the decider.
Massively, sure. Again, he didn't win an English Derby for nothing. The potential, the talent is there. He's like an international man of mystery, to be honest. You don't know what's going to
bit like yourself, Alan. Like yourself.
Becoming, but he's just thereabouts all the time. And again, he could just blow it all open. He has the potential to do it. But he is. I enjoy watching him. I think. Again, the ability he has, and he's just a brilliant greyhound, but again, his best run so far in the Ledger is 29.61. I think he's well capable of doing more. And his sectional is 2.82, which isn't, it isn't the worst, So if he could nail the traps on Saturday night, he could blow it out, the whole final wide open. He has the potential to win it. Any day Romeo Magico runs, he has the potential to win the race. But again, it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the table Saturday night.
Weekend Dream is the third qualifier. Of course, he's the juvenile classic champion. He's costing Lars and Anita Wikander a fortune in flights because they're coming from Sweden to watch him in these finals. Weekend Dream, he'll certainly have lots of support. Lars and Anita, very popular. Lars and Anita, I think Lars brought his brother and wife to the Derby. I'm sure they'll be over again. Trainer Pat Guilfoyle, he's certainly in the right hands. If he does another 274, I know he took a bump on the opening corner, but if he does a 274, he's probably going around in front.
And it's great. Look, for Lars and Anita, it's brilliant. You know, the way they've supported the Irish Greyhound industry down through the years, up there in Sweden. And, you know, it's like a dream come true. Like winning the stake in Tralee was brilliant, but to win this would be like just over the rainbow stuff for them. But he's an early pace merchant, similar to Mustang Jet. But the way he broke in the semi-final was brilliant. Showed magnificent early. Again, trap 2, I think, will suit his early. And with Pat Gilfile, there's no doubt that he could even, you know, he'll have him prepped now for the final to beat that sectional at 2.74. And if he breaks and does it, and if he's in front of that bend, anything can happen behind him. So he's a really, really nice dog. He's, you know, he's doing his young sire Cabra, Fermio, great things, you know. So, yeah, in the hands of Pat Gilfile, anything is possible.
It certainly is. Tommy, Pat Guilfoyle won a laurels this year, of course, with Good Cody. He's after losing a couple of his best servants in recent times. You know, Explosive Boy retired, Good Cody retired. Sad end to Vincenzo's career. Here he is, looking to win a Ledger like soon after his laurel success. It's been a while since he won the Ledger. It'll mean a lot to him. He'll be doing all his very best to try and get him over the line. That said, the remaining 5 trainers will be doing the same. But Pat, I think this is a shot to nothing. I don't think this is one you have to concern yourself too much about. Just say, listen, get the dog as well as you can, and if he takes a flyer, gets to that corner in front, well, you know, the rest is up to him.
Well, he's got a great draw in the final. He got the ideal draw if he's good enough. Whether he is or not, I don't know. I think, did Pat say something about? I thought I heard him interview. Maybe it was Barry Drake was interviewing him or something, saying that he was kind of ease off a bit next year on the numbers. He's got a lot of pups coming through, and maybe going to concentrate on them for a while. Just, you know, maybe mightn't have that many race dogs, but I think that's kind of his MO anyway, isn't it? Kind of
it is, yeah.
Keep small numbers and do them right.
Yeah, the only thing about that is given the sort of the relationship between himself and the Kennedys and the way the Kennedys are producing them, he could get a phone call one day. I have 3 dogs here. I think they're capable of winning classics. Send them on down there, John. Send them on down.
Yeah, but
he also suggested when Good Cody was retiring, he said it'll be hard to replace him, and he sort of said under his breath a little bit, I think I might have one. You know, so just don't be surprised if we see a bit more of them next year.
There's just a lot. There's a lot to like about the approach that he uses. I think there is anyway. You know, in terms of you know, keep the numbers small and do them right, and you kind of see the results. Yes, at times you can be overwhelmed by the bigger kennels with the more numbers, and you know, you get one knocked out and it's kind of devastating. But he
doesn't overrace them, and he picks and chooses his targets very wisely. Like the way he brought Explosive Boy through, you know, the few sprints at Thurles, then into the you know, the Kirby and the likes of that. He's quite holistic in his approach.
Yeah, I guess getting Good Cody to win the laurels as well. I mean, it's terrific training performance. It really was.
Yeah, but it's no fluke though, Alan. When you look at the 6 finalists, you know, it's no fluke that, you know, they're all big name trainers: Pat Buckley, Pat Guilfoyle, Peter Cronin, Graham Holland, Rachel Wheeler, Dolores Ruth. Like, you know, count up the classics amongst them. You know, you certainly don't have enough fingers and toes.
No, it's like from the small man's perspective, I was hoping that Drumbeg would, you know, get there.
For young Evan McCall, it would have been some story. I'll tell you something. The dog ran a hell of a run in defeat.
You look, I'd be, you know, shouting for the small man in relation to that, you know, but these are the professionals. These are the people that week in, week out are winning all the big races. And it's great to see Dolores back again, you know, see her with Mustang Jet. And it's a phenomenal, you know, training feat to have him here as well. And like, I don't think we've mentioned Mustang Jet much in the conversation, but
we're about to. Don't you worry about that, Alan.
In the hands of Dolores Root. So again, anything is possible there. Like, so, and Rachel and with Jennifer O'Donnell, it's great to see all that, you know, the female trainers doing so well of late, you know, between Jennifer, Rachel, Dolores Root, and all the rest of them.
To be honest, Alan, we've been taken over.
Yeah.
Whatever about the female trainers, like the female greyhounds, and over the last 2 to 3 years, Tommy, you know, just again, National Puppy Stake female bobsleigh Dream is going to be clear favourite to win the Ledger. You know,
Rahamofo.
Yeah, Rahamofo has been absolutely flying, like all through the year, and last year and the previous year. It's just been overwhelming how many unbelievably talented ladies. It's been a thread, Tommy, that we've probably beaten to death at this point, but it's remarkable how good the bitches have been for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, more than standing up to the dogs, and like Bobsleigh Dream. We looked last week. We thought I think when we picked our selections for the final, and obviously Bacchus Crystal didn't run, but we thought there might even be the possibility of 4 bitches in the final. That's how and like that's taking a fair form analysis going into semi-finals. I mean, that's how good they are. That's how the depth of quality. So it's not like
we were wrong though.
Yeah, we were wrong. Yeah. Shh, don't cry out loud. Can we cut that? Can we cut that, please? But it's not like you've got just a Susie Sapphire who's exceptional early pace and is blitzing competitions. You've got a depth of quality. You really have, and it's been through the year. It's been probably 3 years now since we started talking about it. So
and like you say, like some of them are starters, some of them are big down the back, and some of them are just powerhouse finishers like Ballymac Whisper, Crafty Coro. Bobsleigh Dream, while she is a big finisher, she's also massive down the back, and she also has the early speed to lead. Like we saw her leading all to break the clock at 3 earlier in the year. She won the Tipperary Cup from the front. It's just depth of talent. It's just, I can't remember anything like it, certainly in my few years in the sport. Let's take a look at the final, because it is a great final to look forward to. And yes, the eye is definitely drawn to Bobsleigh Dream, and she is a deserving favourite. But and it's a fair but. We Can Dream is in 2. He's going to edge onto the fence, and Trish Junior go up well. Romeo Magic will go up well. Anna Bailey can go up well. Mustang Jack can go up well. Like, there's no guarantee she's going to turn anywhere in the first 3 or 4. Okay, granted, they're all going to have to get around, and you'd imagine she's going to be picking her spot from the inside, but things can happen in a final, and all it takes is one pinch on the fence and, just a gap to close at the wrong time, and her race could be run. I think it's a lot more open than, that first initial look. Now, I've been taught over the years to try and trust your first initial look, but in this instance, I think the more you look at it, the more angles you can see. Bobsleigh Dream is in 1, We Can Dream 2, Trish Junior, Romeo Magic, Anna Bailey, and Mustang Jet. Alan, you jumped straight in at the top of the program. You've nailed your colours to the mast in Bobsleigh Dream, but it is a remarkably good final, and it's one that you can see any number of possibilities, but when it comes down to it, Bobsleigh Dream will most likely be your selection.
Yeah, with the draw, I think the draw has really, the way she ran the semi-final and railed once she went down the back straight. She's on the rail now, so it is a bit massive advantage to her. And Tommy did highlight her run of 29.54, that there was, she had to check and that, like, it did knock maybe 20 spots off what she was capable of. So her best sectional so far in the competition is 2.85. So I think if she could repeat that again, break started decent, get onto the rails, she has a massive chance. But again, all quality dogs, all with Mustang and We Can, if they can repeat their early and both hit the bend together at with the fast sectionals, and Romeo will probably be behind them, anything is possible. But I have to nail something, and I'm going for bobsleigh, and that's I just think the draw has really benefited her. But again, We Can has a good draw. Anna Bailey on his day, massive potential. So yeah, I'm going to go with bobsleigh, and I've said it now about 7 or 8 times. But the draw just looks so favourable for her, and the way she ran last week. If she repeats that down the back straight, I think it could be game over.
So what you're saying is you fancy Bobsleigh Dream?
Yeah, that's it.
Just wanted to confirm that, just in case people at home weren't sure of it.
I'm mad about her. That's it.
Look at our clocks through the competition, Tommy. 29.43, 29.44, 29.54 last week. Her one defeat came at the hands of We Can Dream in the second round, 29.67. That's after bumping on the opening corner. It was also her slowest start at 2.91. She's been remarkably consistent at 2.90, 2.85, 2.90, again, between 29.43, 29.44, and that 29.54, as you say, Tommy, you can certainly take off 2 lengths at minimum 2 lengths off that. So it's another 29.40, perhaps better run. It could be a 29.30 odd run. She is a deserving favourite, but you can certainly see the angle where, the trap one draw can also go against her.
Look, I'm not going to back her 6-4, right? That's a given, right? But I can understand why she can't be any bigger, because I tell you what I was trying to make a case to see, you'd always look at them when they're that short and kind of go, I want to find a case why I can oppose her. And the more I watch that semi-final, the more, and that pace, Weekend Dream can lead up, right? Weekend Dream will move into about trap 2/3 down the back. That's only a natural. Most dogs will do that, and very few of them will stick tight.
That's just the pace they're carrying off the second bend.
Yeah, that's just natural rail. That's almost railing. If you ask me, that's almost railing. But I can promise you, right? If Weekend Dream does that, going to halfway, the bobsleigh Dream will pick up and go through the gap like it was there all her life. She just fly through it. Watch what she did to Trinity Junior last weekend, Saturday night. It was just phenomenal. Now, look, I think she'll win the same as Alan. There's no point in hiding it. I think she's got incredible pace. The draw is pretty good, right? Now, there are ways it can work against her. Romeo Magico could take a flyer. Now, he's got Weekend Dream in 2. He's got Trinity Junior in 3. It's difficult to see that he can definitely clear those, but it's not impossible. At the end of the day, you're talking about 2 relatively inexperienced dogs, certainly up against an English Derby winner, a dog with that ability. So
who won an English Derby from trap 4? Yes,
what I'm saying is that even though we might look at them and go, well, they bought the more early pace than them. Really, if you put them both, if you put him into a 2-dog race with Weekend Dream, I can't imagine there'd be much more than half a length of them at the bend. And this Trinity Junior, I suspect he'd lead Trinity Junior around. That's because just in terms of raw ability, 1 against 1. Now, there are other factors. Anna Bailey has a terrible draw, okay, as far as I'm concerned, because you got 2, 3, 4. Even the top bitch will she won't come off off the rails enough to allow anything kind of slip through or any silly thing like that happen in the race. So Anna Bailey, I think, is a terrible draw. Even though it's a middle seed, Mustang Jet is going to have too much early pace for Anna Bailey. Even though Anna Bailey was driving into the bend last week, was doing the same thing the previous week. Alan made the point, and he's right, that he can improve again. He can improve a little bit again, but I don't know where he can improve enough to kind of find himself in a position. I'm looking at the betting. There's only one firm I can see at the moment, right? And the way they bet is 6-4 Bobsleigh Dream, 3-1 Mustang Jet, 4-1 Romeo Magico, 11-2 Trinity Junior, 11-2 Weekend Dream, and 8-1 Anna Bailey. 4-1 Romeo Magico is too big. I'm not tipping it. I'm not backing it, but it's too big. I have a small suspicion. And I know it goes against kind of what you said earlier on. A small suspicion is not quite as best, but that's my thoughts on this dog. He'll make a fool of me every day of the week. But I think Trinity Junior at 11-2 is far too short. I mean, that's taking too much of the market. And even though Mustang Jet showed terrific early pace last week, what Bobsleigh Dream did to him down the back suggests that 3-1 is a little bit short. I think they might have them the wrong way around, Mustang Jet and Romeo Magico. I understand that when you're pricing the thing, you're saying, well, there is potential for a little bit of trouble, so you've got to shorten up the one that's going to be in front or almost certain to be in front on the outside, But I think, and I think Anna Bailey at 8-1 even probably takes up a little bit too much of the market. I think you could definitely shorten Romeo Magico. He's much closer. He's much closer to Bobsleigh Dream than he is in that market, 4-1.
Yeah, you heard it here, folks. Tommy fancy Romeo Magico out of the way. I tend to agree in a sense where I think Romeo Magico is far too big at that price. I think it would have been a very different race if you put Trinity Junior in 2 and Weekend Dream in 3, reverse them there. I think a lot more could have happened, and Bobsleigh Dream would have even been a shorter price favourite. And the fact that Weekend Dream is in 2, Bobsleigh Dream has to get around them somewhere or other. And as you said, Tommy, the best thing for her is probably to wait until the back straight. The worst thing she could do is trying to challenge on a corner, because if she tries to challenge on a corner, that's where he's going to be back onto the fence.
Her worst scenario to me is if Trinity Junior decides, this would be a great night for me to break, and then is lying upside Weekend Dream at the first bend, and then holding Weekend Dream in around the 2 bends, and that will make it more difficult. But I just can't see it. Weekend Dream has returned to being a professional trapper, and I think Weekend Dream will force Trinity Junior to kind of remain out or even angle out. If it's showing the pace into the bend to show the last day, angle out rather than in, because I don't think Weekend Dream is going to take a full length out of Trinity Junior out of traps. If it does, we could have a very different race because Trinity Junior will lean in a bit.
Yeah.
So it's like there are scenarios where it's going to be more difficult, but honest to God, if you just watch her from the second to the third bend, forget about all the work she had to do to get into position by the second bend. Watch Bobsleigh Dream from the second to third bend last week. She just said, "There's a little gap. I'm taking that."
Yeah, she's absolutely flying at present. There's no question about it. I think, hands up. I have Trinity Junior back long odds, and I'd be happy to get the each way part of that. The place part of that would do me fine. Listen, there is an argument for every dog in the race. There's no question about it. But there's no question that certainly those on the outside of the track, Romeo, Magic Anna, Bailey, and Mustang Jet, need to do everything right. The same has to be said for Trinity Junior. Weekend Dream, we know exactly what he's going to do. If he pops out, gets onto that fence, and slips around in front, well, he is certainly capable of 29.60. Now, whether that's good enough to hold a bobsleigh Dream, I don't know. But he could be denying her a run at the vital time if she doesn't get to him by the third bend, and that could be the key to the race. It really is an intriguing decider. Just Alan, once again, just to confirm your give us your 1, 2, 3.
1 bobsleigh, Romeo, and Weekend. 1, 4, 1, 4, 2.
1, 4, 2. Tommy.
Yeah, I'm not going to be very different to that. I think I was actually quite impressed with the way Weekend Dream stuck at it the last day to finish third. It's probably going to be 1, 4 and maybe 6, 1, 4, 2 or 1, 4, 6. That's the way I'd see it going. Possibly 2, and the fact that Mustang Jet will have to get clear early. Yeah, what way do you see it?
Listen, I think 1 is probably the most likely winner. I'll probably end up going for Romeo Magico. Certainly at 4-1, I'd be tempted to nibble. I must say at 4-1. Bobsleigh Dream 6-4 in a race of this nature. Yeah, just a little bit squeezy. If Weekend Dream was a bit further out, I think 6-4 would be an unbelievable price. Just the proximity of Weekend Dream is just a slight concern, but I think it's a final worth looking forward to. It is worth pointing out that there's some wonderful action on the undercard. We see a few of the sweepstakes on the undercard, Alan, and top quality, but there's also going to be some really top class opens on the night, and it's safe to say that anybody traveling to Limerick on Saturday night would be treated to a wonderful card.
I'm really looking forward to the final of the Stevie Sheehan Memorial A3, like the semi-finals on Saturday night. Dodo Rudolph 28.40, Burgess Cutie 28.39. Like the two of them, just to go down and see the two of them.
Listen. I'll be honest now. I didn't even see the heats, but all I know is that if the other Rudolph isn't tote favorite, I'd fall off my chair. I'd fall off my chair if the other Rudolph isn't tote favorite. Given that name, I'm sure they'll come for him in some way.
Yeah. But that's a final, and then there's the Limerick Clare Greyhound Owner Breeders Association A4, and it's great to have that on the card on a big final night as well. Because there's great work done by all the members of that association. So. And again, all the opens. I'm looking forward to seeing the card and going through it and picking little tips for it. But
there was a whisper. No, it's only a whisper. It wasn't a roar. There was a whisper that Balnabola Ed has been entered for the 600. No, that is interesting. Long run to the corner. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. He's a fantastic dog. I was probably thinking they were keeping him for the Night of Stars in Shelbourne, but. Be great to see him there Saturday night.
Could be an audition for the night for the Winter Racing Festival, Tommy. What do you think?
And again, I don't know. There'll probably be an open class bitch race as well. That could be very interesting if it happens. Would the likes of Rahamofo or some of them come? But
I think they might struggle with that because the Christmas Oaks starts at Shelbourne Park and the fact that a few of them will be lined up for the Winter Racing Festival as well. If they have advertised an open bitch, I'm sure it'll get it. Whether it'll get all the big names, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Given the fact that the Christmas Oaks is due to start at Shelbourne Park, Tommy. Yeah, it'll be a great card. Unfortunately, I won't be there. My cover is off to Cheltenham Barry call. Shame on you, Barry. Shame on you. What about yourself, Tommy?
No, I'm committed to the other work, the horse racing side of things, the weekend. So I won't make it either, unfortunately. But hopefully we get down there tomorrow night. If I can just clear up a little bit of a flu that's tailing on. Hopefully it'll be gone. I'll be feeling a bit better tomorrow. But it's a cracking race, and if Balnabola does run over 600, I'd love to see what he could do. because he is phenomenally fast. I remember the night. It was the quarterfinal when he was knocked out of the Derby. He ran one of the nights of the Derby. We were up there. It was a semi-final night. He ran.
Yeah, was that the night he beat Bacchus Crystal?
Was it Bacchus Crystal he beat? He got a bit of bumping on the first bend and still did 29.20 or 29.25 or something ridiculous like for 550 in Shelbourne. Like he's heartbreakingly capable.
Yeah, he's a ridiculous talent, no question about it. We've spoken a lot about him over the last few months. There was also top-class racing in Shelbourne Park on Saturday night, Tommy. No surprise to see one of the Pastana Unlock and Lock litter coming through to land the spoils. They're a bit special. I think Up the Style is probably the most special of them all. She was pretty emphatic in success. She didn't take a flyer. She showed great early speed up the outside. She drove the corner like a greyhound that just gets it. And she raced on to a pretty comfortable success in the end. There was traffic on the inside. Ballymac John Joe, we had mentioned him last week. He has an unbelievable engine. He rocketed, and I mean rocketed from halfway. I wrote it a few times that while he is the rank outsider of the party, that just goes to highlight how good the race is. He's purely been priced on his racing style and draw rather than his ability, because if it was down to pure ability, he'd be right up there with the favourites. He's a very talented tracker, but Up the Style, there is so much to like about her. Yet another brilliant bitch to talk about in the coming year.
Yeah, it was a classy performance. Her pace down the back to open up a significant advantage was most impressive about it. They are a terrific litter, obviously. We'll be talking about them for a bit of a while now. Ballymac John Joe, I guarantee that dog will break 28 seconds some night. He is ridiculously fast. Boyle Sports Vic, nothing went right for him in the race. Showed terrific ability again. It's stating the obvious, but by God, we'll be looking back at that final again and that competition, but that final again next year, going, wow, see the dogs. It's a bit like we talked about this year's Kirby final. The first four home, I think, all one Derby final night. I wouldn't be surprised we're getting something similar next year. We're talking about those greyhounds in that final and how much they achieve. Like she's just going to continue to push the bitches along in terms of ability. And Ballymac John Joe, like, how was he only beating 2.5 lengths? I mean, he's about 8 or 10 down and halfway.
Yeah.
And think, this is. I know they were out of luck below in Limerick, but when you think you've got a conveyor belt of greyhounds and this sort of ability coming through or in behind, this fella has been trained. I don't want to be concentrating on the runner-up, but because it's not fair to Up the Style, but this fella has been trained particularly well in the sense that he's been given time to find his feet and learn how to race himself. And he's still doing that. And he's still capable of running the way he did the other night. I mean, as I said to you about the night in Cork when he did the 28-20, he was just basically outclassing A2 company. But what he'll do next year over 550, like, I mean, I think once a year I kind of point out that the Dowlings have a number of greyhounds that'll break 29-20 or 29-30 over 550. He's a 101 to do it if he stays sound, and I think he'll break 28 seconds some night in a 525. He is phenomenally fast. So for Up the Style to be able to leave a caliber dog like him for dead down the back, to be like, it doesn't matter if you know early pace. You know what we talk about, Dean. It doesn't matter if the dog is a special early pace or not. If they get a clear run, they're capable of more than we think, because we're only comparing them with dogs that fly out. But like, if you're capable of leaving that caliber of dog behind, the way Up the Style did the other night, she's clearly phenomenally fast and a real talent to look forward to next year.
Yeah, speaking of real talents for next year, Ballymac Finn, the Derby runner-up, also won on the card, did everything right from the front. He tied up a little bit, but he's just like, everything he does now is going to be a bonus, because I think he's going to be a proper greyhound next year. The 575 at the end of the night was won by Barefoot Supremo in 30.84. Up the Style was by some margin the fastest 525-yard winner, 28.29. So track wasn't flying. 30.84 for the 575 on that night. The final race in the card was unbelievable. And a huge crowd at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. It cannot be stressed how big the crowd was. There was, I think it was 1,200 people booked in. The vast majority of them on some sort of a dining package. The first time in 3 years where all the suites were opened. Now, that's been an issue with staffing rather than anything else. That's just the way the world has been, trying to get people in the service industry, but packed to the rafters at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. And it's very similar case this Saturday coming. I want to mention a couple of other displays. Go ahead, Tommy.
I was just going to say, it's great to see the crowds there and people actually enjoying greyhound racing, because when you think when you think of the decision that the connections of Bacchus Crystal had to make the other night, right, and what's at stake and how much money is at stake, and they were able to make a mature decision, I think our greyhounds are in good hands when you see that. She's a favourite to win a huge competition worth a lot of money, and yet they have the maturity to go. She ran an extra lap last week. It left a little bit of a mark on her. You might think, they'll let her run, and sure, she doesn't qualify, so be it. If she sneaks into places, they've got another week. There's a mature decision to do that, and as long as the greyhounds are in those sort of hands, we're in a good position. And I'm glad to see that big crowds are going to Limerick and going to Shelbourne Park and actually enjoying racing and see what it is about these days. The past is the past. The past is gone. But things have changed and moved on, and we're in a different era altogether. And we're actually enjoying what I would call a particularly purple patch of quality of greyhound racing the last few years. And I think Susie Sapphire kind of was almost the beginning of it. She
really did get the ball rolling that night when she won the Derby. Things just picked up a bit. There was a real sort of sense of relief, and just a release. There was a release that night. Do you know what I mean?
There was an enjoyment to watching. A perfect display from a bitch in a big Derby final in front of a huge crowd. And I know all the things that went before with COVID and whatever else and all that sort of stuff, and we were still trying to deal with everything else. And yes, there were a heightened sense of relief or just to be able to enjoy things again. So I just think that kind of kickstarted a bit of a purple patch, and we're in the middle of that now. And it's just great to see that the crowds are going, and hopefully we can encourage them and keep it going for a while longer, because if we do, then they'll stay with us forever.
Yeah, let's hope. Alan, it'd be remiss of me not to mention a week earlier, Rahamofo won the Galway Oaks, and of course you're a proud Westerner. You were at Galway that night. A huge crowd there also. Great to see crowds going to Galway.
It's like I think Galway track is a little sleeping giant there, with potential. It's a brilliant racing circuit, and it's crying out for open class dogs, I think, and just to see fair play to Greyhound Racing Ireland for sponsoring the Galway Oaks. When it was announced earlier on the year, there was a lot of excitement about it and talking about it. And then when the Galway owned Rahamofo won the Oaks, he was saying, questions were asked, would she come for this? And she did, and she just lit up the place. It was phenomenal what she did. And
it'd be wonderful for the powers that be to introduce a big competition at Galway somewhere through the middle of the year. Be it a revamped Connacht Derby, or like the old Grand Prix, or that used to be held down there. I certainly know I'd love an excuse to get up to Galway for one night in the year, no question about it. As you said, a wonderful surface and just the best place to visit.
And you were mentioning Pat Gilfile there in relation to pups. Pat utilizes Galway all the time in relation to schooling and qualifying his dogs. So, it's a great place to get pups up and running. And then if you can do a time there, you have something decent on your hands. A lot of the potential buyers, especially in the UK, would be keeping a very close eye on the Galway novice races. But again, as you said, through the Galway races itself, there's definitely an opening there for some type of a semi-classic on on that week as well. So look, it'd be great if Greyhound Racing Ireland looked at it and promoting it a bit more. And no, I know myself, and Galway is it's a hopping, it's a young town, and the potential there is massive. And a lot of stags and hens go to Galway and they utilize the track and that. So it's doing great, it's doing well, and especially the Oaks really the rafters were they were roaring the rafters down when for the final and the semi-final, especially when track records were being broken by that supreme greyhound Rahamofo. So yeah, Galway onwards and upwards for us,
Onwards and upwards. There's an argument to be said that every track in the country should have its sort of centerpiece, a big night that the locals can rally around. Tommy, it doesn't happen, unfortunately, all these days. You lost the Southern Sprint and the wonderful unraced stake, and of course there used to be the great 700-yard competition down there. No stayers, unfortunately, no sprinters, unfortunately. But there's room for every track in the country to have their one big night of the year.
The Southern Oaks as well, of course there is, and there's scope for tracks to have a bit more. Correspondent Park, I would always argue, should have a bit more top class racing because it is a great circuit, great facility as well. So we need to make the most of them. yeah, I'd echo what Alan is saying there about Galway as well. I was fierce impressed, actually. Funnily enough, it's typical because you kind of get so caught up in all the rest of the racing that's going on around, say with Shelbourne Park or trying to follow Curraheen or me with y'all as well. You kind of don't get to see some of these tracks often enough. And I was fierce impressed at Galway. It just looked a picture now.
I couldn't get over it. It was like velvet. Like that track looked like velvet.
And they tell me, obviously, that they tell me the Rahamofo was school. Alan probably know she was school down there, so I just couldn't remember. We were talking about it after, I think it was the first round. I just couldn't believe how she took the track so well. She was phenomenally good. She's probably been dizzy going around the place, but anyway.
There were a couple more brilliant performances over the weekend. I just want to mention Walking on Sunshine won at Kilkenny on Friday night. Now, my phone was hopping, never mind the owner's phone. Con Guiney Allen is no stranger to having good greyhounds. This son of Broadstrand, Bono and Coulavaniella, I think he's only a June whelp. He did 28.75 at Kilkenny the other night on debut, 2 to 5. Yeah. So somebody knew. He took a bump at boxes. He checked up a little bit at the third bend. He's a half brother to Coulavani Hoffa. You may have heard of him, Tommy. I was quite a fan during the year. I think this dog is a can't miss. I think he looks an absolute superstar in the making. I've only seen him once, so I could be putting the absolute kibers on him, but I can promise you one thing. I've rarely been as excited by a youngster as I was by Walking on Sunshine the other evening.
I was excited too because I have 2 Broadstrand Bonos at home.
Go on, Alan.
So I'm sort of rooting for Bono. And going back to Bono, he's been very... in Limerick, a lot of novice races of late, his progeny are winning their novice races. So it's great to see a young dog like that come through, similar to what Pastana.
He was a very talented greyhound, and he was one that improved through his unfortunately shortened racing career. And he was also aided by, he was one of the first high-profile sons of Druby Sydney to enter stud, and he's been offered as an alternative when Sydney wasn't available for a lot of time, and I think we're going to see a lot of fast Broadstrand Bonos coming out in the very near future. As I said, Walking on Sunshine certainly impressed me. Very, very taking display. Tommy, do you have a chance to look back at it?
I did, yeah. I thought quite mature early, and then quite green afterwards, if you know what I mean, which is what you'd want, because if he was a fully mature dog at June 21, you'd be saying there's no improvement in him. I thought he was quite mature in that he didn't break very well. He had a bit of company on his inside, asserted to go into second place to chase the leader. He's a big dog, 79-pound dog, and he kind of had to steady himself for a second before he took off down the back to lead. You'd love the way he strode out up the straight as well. He looks like a 101 to stay 550 and gallop every bit of the way to the line. He looks a proper dog, and he would.
I'm assuming Con won't be selling, but I could be completely wrong. He might be getting an offer that he can't refuse. I know there'll be plenty of offers going his way, and I'd love to see him going on to win the Mickey O'Sullivan Memorial. Obviously, running in honour of Mickey O'Sullivan down at Kilkenny. It'd be great to see him then, and perhaps then getting to Shelbourne Park in the very near future, because he looks tailor-made for the place. There was also a big run up in Drumbo Park by a young bitch called Orange Emer. Orange Emer winning in 28.22, and she looks very strong, very powerful. Just one to keep an eye on in the future. There are a couple of youngsters that I just wanted to give a mention to. Tommy, any other business?
No, that was it. We had yet another busy weekend, Dean. So no, I think we've covered it all.
Alan?
Yes, and youngsters, there was a very impressive display by Mystical Messi in Limerick on Saturday night too. 28.53, I think he's a Skywalker Logan pup. So it's great to see him doing his father proud there now as well. So just watch out for him Saturday night. He'll be running as well.
Yeah, out of superb beauty. I remember her as a racer. She was pretty talented herself. Yeah, Mystical Messi, 28.53. He's only a March whelp. I see he's owned by Owen and Tig Troy. Any relation, Alan?
No. They're Tipperary.
I thought you were doing a bit of nepotism there and getting the word in. No, well done, Mystical Messi. Another dog to keep an eye out.
I'm only catching up on Orange Emery. Wouldn't you be a little bit sore now if you found yourself in an A6, A7? It was 1 in 28.22.
Yeah, the following night the Gold Cup heats were run, and I think the fastest heat winner was 28.65. No, you'd have been fairly unlucky, if you'd met her. No, she's very strong. They weren't afraid. I've been told they're not afraid to ask good money for her. So it'll be interesting to see if she stays
Rightly so.
or not. Gentlemen, a pleasure as always. To Alan, best of luck. Will you be in Limerick on Saturday night, Alan?
Yeah, I will indeed. Yeah, looking forward to it.
I'd say we're expecting a bumper crowd. It should be an unbelievable occasion.
Yeah. If it's anything like Friday, last Saturday night, it'll be, last Saturday night, it was crazy by all accounts. So hopefully, again, a good, busy night, and really looking forward to it. And anyone listening here from the Limerick Clare area, make sure you're in there.
Yeah, Tommy.
Can you be honest and tell us which you're looking more forward to the final or to Joe Sheehan playing afterwards?
I have my 2 kids with me, so there will be no. I won't be on for the late Joe show. No, unfortunately.
Don't
worry, I'm sure he'll be selling DVDs or CDs on the night. He'll be away in a hack. Tommy will be hitting Limerick tomorrow evening for the road show. Just 1 or 2 things to mention there about the road show. Make sure you get in touch. Okay, do express your interest if you're going. They can add extra numbers, but don't just rock up. Make sure you get in touch with the girls in GRI and express interest. Don't just rock up on the night, because they do need to know numbers for dining and for goodie bags and whatnot. It should be a great occasion. Myself, Tommy, Joe Keneally, and a few very special guests will be at Limerick on Tuesday evening for the road show. But that's it from us this week. Again, my thanks to Alan and to the exiled fella. I'll see you tomorrow night, Tommy, for a drink or two. By the sounds of it, it could be hot whiskies rather than pints, but sure, we'll see how the evening takes us. That's it from us, though, on this Monday evening. The very best of luck to the 6 connections in the Matchbook Betting Exchange Irish St Ledger. It's been a wonderful classic, and, well, there's still less than 30 seconds of wonderful racing to look forward to on Saturday night. There'll be no doubt a top-class winner crowned at Limerick, and a packed Limerick at that. But that's it for us this evening. Good night, good luck, God bless.